welcome to the CNWA Wrestling Network. Joy Ello here with, well, let's put that off for just a second. We've got Frank Sisson here from the Silver Dollar Action Center, and Frank, we're in for a good card today.
Well, we're really looking forward to it, and of course we have the towel match later on tonight, and it'll be really interesting to see what the Salvo will do, particularly when the Angel of Death has our friend Mr., well, we'll lose that loosely, Mr. Brown over there is going to be the towel man. Maybe he's going to wipe a little bit of sweat off.
Well, we'll have to see. Bulldog, you heard the words of Frank Sisson. You're going to be in the corner of the Angel of Death against Steve DeSalvo in that throw-in-the-towel match.
Well, certainly you forgot all about the situation, Frankie and Joey. You forgot to apologize to the people. Last week you said Ed Whalen would be back next week. Well, here is next week, and he's not here yet. And I hear through the grapevine that your contract is not going to be renewed either. But I'm looking forward to the throw-in-towel. I'm just going to throw it in because I think the Angel of Death is too much superior. He's got too much class, and he's going to go out, humiliate the guy with the big arms and the big body.
All right, speaking of that match, we'll have word from Ed Whalen as well a little later on. Right now, let's take a short break and come back with our first match. Okay, this first match is underway already, almost at the midway mark in this one. And Goldie Rogers taking on Brian Wilson. And Goldie Rogers on top of things right now, Bulldog.
Well, certainly Goldie Rogers is looking better every day. You know, last week he won a big match, and he told me earlier in the dressing room, Bulldog, I don't know what it is. Every time it seems that you're sitting on the table, I come out and I do my very best, and I'm on a big winning streak. And today he's got a tremendous athlete in Brian Wilson.
5 minutes.
Well, you look at Goldie Rogers, of course, hailing from Hollywood, California. His opponent, Brian Wilson from Fresno, California. And Frank Sisson, I guess you could say, a little colder up here in Canada this time of year, but things are heating up with these two men from California right now.
Well, while we were doing our introductions here earlier, of course, they were getting into the match, and as you see, he's got a good hold on him there, and it's been most interesting, and certainly a lot warmer up here, and I think even a little warmer than where you're from, Mr. Brown there, Bulldog, from Winnipeg.
It's certainly nice to talk to you, Frank. I just want to tell the people that you finally opened up your wallet and bought my coffee previous to the card. I thought it was great, and I thought it was very generous of Frank.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Nobody will call you a coffee mate, Bulldog Bob Brown, because I'll tell you, worked with you in Winnipeg many a times. We're out here in Calgary, and this Goldie Rogers looking more impressive as weeks go on here. And right now he's taking on the young man from Fresno. We're talking about Brian Wilson, a newcomer to these parts up here in Canada. And a welcome sight here to the CNWA as well. Great up-and-coming young stars here.
This is what you got to have. You got to generate a lot of things. You want the people to come out and see what you got. You got to give them something so they'll pay the top dollar. And right now, I think this is a great organization, even though sometimes I'm against a few things, like outside interference and a lot of things like that. Frank, all I can tell you is you're doing a fine and mighty good job also.
Well, I appreciate all your kind comments, but what happened about outside interference last week when you got in there and they had no right as far as I'm concerned? What do you think, Joseph? They have the right to be in the ring last week?
That's right. Yeah, you didn't, Bulldog. You did not have the right at all to be in the ring last week. That's the reason you're holding on to the towel for the Angel of Death today. And Frank, you brought up a good point, because he'll come on right now and tell you it was his decision, but he was forced into that situation. Bulldog, why do you have a smile on your face?
Well, because you both people are watching a television match, and both of you are watching different matches than I am. As you can see, I only went in the ring last week to help out the referee who was knocked down. What was that $50 fine for?
Well, I guess because he had a chokehold on him, and Bulldog, you'd know a lot about those, but I'll give Goldie Rogers credit here, an impressive-looking chin lock right now on Brian Wilson, and referee Ed Langley says it's totally clean, believe it or not.
Well, I still don't understand Ed Langley, the referee, and two great competitors, but the $50 fine, I think it's a little cheap.
Well, I can tell you this, that if he paid him $50 or fined him $50 there for your choke, you could end up, you might as well give us your your check right now, because you could end up with a lot of problems today unless you don't get him in the ring.
You've got an answer for everything, don't you, Frank? Okay, Joe.
Well, we've got a good-looking match going so far. Goldie Rogers and Brian Wilson. And wrestling fans, stay tuned. Later on in the program, we've got a dandy of a tag team affair. The Great Gamma tagging up with Duke Myers, a man I call the cab driver. They're taking on Randy Thatcher and Winnipeg's own Ron Ritchie. I guess you could call them to the Canadian Connection. Now, they will be here. It should be a good one.
Well, nobody knows Ron Ritchie better than I do. Of course, you know, Ron Ritchie's an outstanding individual. Great athlete. He's been out of wrestling now for a couple months, but during those couple months, he's been training hard, and he knew this new promotion was coming in. He's starting around, and I'm glad to see Ron Ritchie back.
Well, Goldie Rogers and actually Brian Wilson with the turnaround and a big clothesline on Rogers, and the capacity crowd here at the Silver Dollar Action Center showing a vote of approval, if you will. Wilson trying to pick him up for some, but Rogers turning it around. Test the strength here.
Let me remind you something to both of you guys. You see, last week when I came here, your building was empty. The second week I arrived, hey, you got a big packed house. You know why? There's something they want to see. They want to see the Bulldog in action.
Well, they may want to see you in action, but also I noticed the fire department's here with a lot of fire hydrants, so that might hold you up because that could be your kind of action.
What are you laughing for, Joe?
Because Frank's got you tied up in knots one more time, Bulldog. Right now, Brian Wilson going up for that monkey flip. Oh, and Rogers putting on the brakes. Goldie Rogers coming down with an elbow on the young man from Fresno, California, Brian Wilson. And Rogers showing some experience here. Set him up, neck breaker. Devastating maneuver there by Goldie Rogers. This one could be it. 2 and 3, it's all over. I'll tell you one thing, we were talking about him looking more and more impressive as weeks go on, Bulldog Bob Brown. And once again, whether you like him or not, he's your winner this week. The young man from Hollywood, California, the man that thinks he's the sexiest wrestler going today, Goldie Rogers.
Well, all I can tell you is he's on a big winning streak, 2 in a row, and I'll tell you, I couldn't be more happier than Goldie Rogers. Goldie Rogers is walking over towards me. I'll bet Goldie Rogers has got a lot to tell me.
Yeah, I want to talk to you, Jack. Where are all these punks coming from? Yeah. Why don't you shut your mouth? Why don't you shut it up, Jack? Shut up.
Oh, listen.
Stop that thing here. Shut up.
Let me remind you one thing. Just don't pay any attention to what you hear in the background. All you have to do is tell me. I know it's 3 wins in a row. You got a lot of title matches coming up, a lot of new belts on the line, and I guarantee you one thing. If there's anybody around here that could beat a few of these loudmouths and these wild-groomed individuals is one.
Every once in a
yes,
while.
slap them.
Yeah, slap them right in the head, Jack. Yeah, and I don't have to listen to you morons because your intelligence level is too low for me, Jack. I'll just slap them all, Jack. You know that, Brown. I'll slap them all. Right?
Well, what did I tell you? He's always got something to say, but he's going to slap them all. And after all, the bottom line, he won again.
Well, all I know is Goldie Rogers calls everybody in the building Jack, including you. And he's got my name wrong, too, as far as I'm concerned. Right now, let's go up to the ring for our next match. Okay, well, Benkei Sasaki has got the crowd going berserk here. He's got Skull Mason all tied up, landing those big chops from Sapporo, Japan, and a big kick to the midsection. And Skull Mason bailing out, trying to regain his composure here. And I'll tell you, this young man from Sapporo has definitely taken the crowd by storm here in the CNWA, Bulldog.
Well, you know, when you're talking about Japanese athletes, you're talking about true, fine, outstanding individuals. They come over to this country, and when they come over to this country, they're at their very, very best because they don't want to come over here, you know, and show their stuff that's not really, really good. And it gets back to their country. They want to show that they're the very, very best. And of course, you can't argue with Japanese. Hey, they're great athletes. And every year for the last 14 years, I go over to Japan. These guys train 5 and 6 hours every day. And I'm going to tell you what, here's one man right here, Ben Sasaki. It's been one of the greatest so far.
Well, I was real pleased and really privileged to sit there and watch him practice tonight. He took a deck of cards. He'd peel off the cards, and as he got the 4 or the 5 or the 6, he would do all these intricate tricks and all the different things that he was doing for weight building and things like that, and to really get his strength up. And it's amazing, and a lot of dedication to get in the shape that he's in, and that, I think, speaks a lot. Incidentally, talking about Japanese, did you watch the Tokyo match the other night where you had Mr. Douglas Hammer, Mr. Tyson? Well, there you go. What, did you stop?
Well, no, I really didn't watch it, Joe, Frank, because I was on the road wrestling. As busy a schedule I have, I don't have no time for boxing. I hear you're involved in professional boxing, and hey, I take my hat off to you. Somebody told me it was a great fight, although they told me that Tyson should have won, and he got a fast count.
Well, he got a fast count, just as much as you're going to win this thing tonight with a count, because I'll tell you what, it was a great match, and Douglas is definitely the champion, and I'm looking forward to watching you in action so we can call you a champion.
Well, I'll tell you one thing for certain. Benkei Sasaki just landed a right hand with no gloves on those fists that landed right onto the chin of Skull Mason. And Benkei Sasaki with a good-looking headlock there, and Bulldog, you'll be the first one to tell you one of the best wear-down maneuvers right here.
Yeah, and although they talk about Skull, let me remind you, he had a very, very tough match. And so right now, somebody is bleeding. The blood is all over Skull's leg, and I don't know where it's come from. I think somebody got a bleeding nose, and I'll tell you the truth, this could be an important thing in this match, Joe.
Well, Skull Mason is bleeding from his nose, it looks like. And it looks like he's been shaken up pretty good because he's trying to regain his marbles, but Sasaki right now is on the receiving end. Mason picking him up from outside the ring, showing a good test of strength. Picked him up, but Sasaki cradled him.
Oh,
and he surprised Skull Mason.
I just told you, Joe, just 30 seconds ago, I thought there was something wrong with Skull himself. He's got a bleeding nose, and I do believe the nose is broken. And what you call him, of course, Sasaki took advantage of it, climbed all over him. Hey, caught him with that small package. 1, 2, 3.
Well, Skull Mason making that mistake, being a little bit shaken up, tried to pick him up, and he lost with the cradle. Your winner, Benkei Sasaki. We'll be back with more action right after this. Well, there you go. But right now, this Jason Anderson is pressing me and Frank Sisson here at ringside, the proprietor, if you will, of the Silver Dollar Action Center. And Frank, it's getting better and better week after week. Here's some top-notch wrestling action right now.
Well, we've seen 2 prior matches tonight that have been very good, and this one is leading up to, and it is a very good one, and it's also leading up to the big match tonight where DeSalvo's going to take on the Angel of Death, and our friend Bulldog here is going to be in a final there as a towel man, and I think that's rather appropriate. But yes, you're right, Joe. We are seeing better and better action.
Do you have the security all set for that big match? Because I tell you what, I like to be protected, and since you've taken over this wrestling at the present time, I haven't been protected, and I tell you the truth, I'm very ashamed to say that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got a couple of bowling balls up at the front that will tie around your ankles. That'll hold you right out.
No, he's used to having something tied around his ankle, and it's like a ball. And he looks good in pinstripes, doesn't he?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Those jokes are gone out the window 30 years ago.
Well, Bob, you should have gone out the window 30 years ago, too, and we would have had just Kerry Brown to contend with. Right now, Dr. Zhivago, with a karate thrust there on Jason Anderson. This Zhivago's been around for quite a while, Bulldog.
You know, you talk about you should have gone out 30 years ago, but aren't you ashamed of yourself, Joe? You could sit here in the mic. Why don't you talk to the people? Why don't you tell them what happened in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where we won 4 big matches in a row? But you forget to tell the people that. And I'm going to tell you, you know why you forget? I'll tell you why you forget, Mr. Joe. Because I tell you the truth, you're too embarrassed, and you let your mouth overflow your brain, if you can say that. Let me tell you something, Joe. We're a big tag team in Western Canada, and we're winning big matches, and we're the first one to throw the contract in when the title belts go on the line.
All right, the words of Bulldog Bob Brown. I'm not going to argue with them right now. Zhivago right now going to work on a nerve hold on Jason Anderson, and he's going nuts on referee head Langley. Has to ask him, but Anderson's not giving just yet.
You heard that statement, wrestling fans. I don't want to argue with him because you know what? the truth hurts. And I'm sitting in between two guys that they don't know the truth.
Well, Bob, the only thing that's starting to hurt right now is you running at the mouth, okay? My ears are hurting. Jason Anderson turning things around right now with the shoulder block and a crossover there. Oh, and Zhivago with a big right hand there to the midsection.
What did you say was hurting you?
My ears, Bob, my ears.
Face is killing me.
You know, it's going to be such a pleasure to have Ed Whalen back here where we want him next week.
You told me that last week, that he's going to be back tonight, and he's still not back. Where is he now?
I've got a surprise
from him. He'll tell us where he's at.
I've got a surprise coming up for you a little later on in the program, Bulldog. Don't go too far. Zhivago right now going airborne. Holy cow, Dr. Zhivago with a flying maneuver there, landing that big head. And Dr. Zhivago is talking to you here at ringside, saying, all right, Bobby. I've never heard anybody call you Bobby before, Bulldog.
Well, they all look to me because, hey, they got all kinds of respect for me. This is simple as ABC. When they see me out there, they know I do a great job in the ring, and they know I do a great job as a commentator. A lot of people out in television land wouldn't even turn their television on if I wasn't on it.
All right, the legend in his own mind, Bulldog Bob Brown. Listen, Bulldog, we've got a great tag team match coming up a little later on. I don't want to take away anything from that main event, but it should be a good one. Duke Myers and Great Gamma tagging up against a new combination, the Canadian Connection, Randy Thatcher and Ron Ritchie.
Well, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you know Ron Ritchie and Randy Thatcher, but I'll tell you one thing. I don't know Randy Thatcher, but I can tell you one thing. Nobody knows fabulous Ron Ritchie better than I do. Listen, when that guy is down, you think he's finished, and all of a sudden, he gets those miracle powers, and back he comes and goes on to win big matches. I don't like his attitude outside the ring or when I interview him, but I guarantee you the bottom line, he gives the people everything he's got.
Almost thought Jason Anderson had Dr. Zhivago a few seconds ago, but Zhivago put on the brakes, holding on to that second rope, and leveled Anderson over the head. Going for the pin. Now, this is a sloppy pin if I've ever seen with Zhivago maybe getting a little cocky here, Frank.
Well, not only is he getting a little cocky, he also happens to be out $50 because he gets fined for that last stunt that he did. And I'm looking forward to watching this towel match to see what Mr. Brown's going to get.
Anderson with the big body press there could have him only a 2 count.
Let me ask you something, Joe. Who is the surprise guy in the corner tonight? Nobody has told me. It's supposed to be a big secret, but I'm sure that you know who it is.
Well, I do, actually, Bulldog, but why would I want to do you any favors? I'm not going to tell you who that might be. Right now, Zhivago trying to turn him around, but Anderson reversing that neck breaker, and Zhivago could be out of it.
Well, you know, you're not going to beat Zhivago like this. Now, both guys are on the mat. The referee's got a 10 count to get them back up. And I'll tell you the truth, Dr. Zhivago is just coming into his own. It takes him about 8 or 9 minutes to get into the match.
10 minutes gone.
Well, Dr. Zhivago going to work with Jason Anderson here in some singles competition. Right now, Anderson with a big whip, big body press there, and Zhivago right on his back. Anderson landing that big elbow, going for that pin, but he doesn't hook the leg. Only a 2 count.
Oh, this is an exciting match. I like this match. Hey, this Jason and this Dr. Zhivago, hey, they're putting on a display of talent. And listen, it's been a brutal match so far, Joe.
Well, you betcha. Zhivago raking at the eyes while he kicks out of that 2 count. I thought Anderson might have had him on that one with that big clothesline, but Zhivago right on top of things one more time.
Closeness only counts in horseshoes, Joe. But, of course, you wouldn't understand that either.
A duck under there, he might have him here. Anderson with the flip over, beautiful scientific maneuver, and that's all she wrote for Dr. Zhivago.
You know, it's surprising to me that Jason beat Dr. Zhivago. I thought Dr. Zhivago had him all along. But I'll tell you what, I'm stunned, I'm upset, been humiliated and embarrassed, I've been wrong again. Let's go to the ring with Joe, with Ron Ritchie, and Randy Thatcher.
Well, you should have heard the crowd erupt a few seconds back when these two men walked up here to ringside. Ron Ritchie, welcome back. Randy Thatcher. You know, there's been a lot of talk about the CNWA Championship tournaments. The tag team belts have to be on your minds.
That's right, Joe, and, you know, it's great to be here. It's great to be a part of this CNWA, and, you know, like you said, I want to be a part of that tag team tournament coming up. There's a lot of big things happening. and it's glad to see all my fans. And Randy and I have been doing a lot of training, and we're planning on entering that tournament.
How about you, Randy? How do you feel?
I feel strong with Ron in my corner there. A lot of experience, you know, Canadian connection.
All right, the words of Randy Thatcher and Ron Ritchie. These two men have a big match later on today against Great Gamma and Duke Myers. You won't want to miss it. Right now, let's go down to ringside and Bulldog Bob Brown.
Listen, Duke Myers, Gamma Singh talked to you guys earlier in the dressing room. You're telling me about Randy Thatcher and the fabulous Ron Ritchie, and you told me that you're going to make it short and sweet. Why are you laughing?
Well, Bob, you tell me what kind of a tag team combination you think that's going to be. A Canadian and an Indian. Can you imagine that? There's no unity in the team. There's no unification. Look at this. This is what you call unity. This is what you call unification right here, right. Duke. The outcome is obvious.
Well, Duke, listen, you're no stranger to professional wrestling. You've been around 14, 15 years. You've had a lot of partners. I can remember one time you had my son as a partner. You guys went on to big fame. You held the tag team title. Now you're tagging up with a Gamma Singh. Now a little different story now. But, hey, later on in the show, when you wrestle Randy Thatcher and Ron Ritchie, don't take him lightly, because I'll tell you something about Ron Ritchie. When you think you guys have got him down, he's just beginning.
Well, I got to tell you something about that. You know, my hand here has got its support back, and
Still a bit tender.
yeah, it is a bit tender. But Ron Ritchie knows about this. You know, Ron Ritchie's been introduced to it a few times.
You're all going to feel it sooner or later.
And you know what? He might get introduced to it again tonight. You can't never tell.
All I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen,
This musclehead, I'm going to knock his muscles to where the sun doesn't shine.
this is a great team, and this is going to be a great match later on this card. Randy Thatcher, Ron Ritchie, Duke Myers, and Gamma Singh. All I can tell you, if you want to see fireworks, just stand by.
Beautiful maneuver there. I'll tell you, the Sakam Singh learned from one of the best, the Great Gamma. You can't argue with success, like I said earlier. He's one of the up-and-coming stars here in the CNWA. And Bulldog, speaking of up-and-coming, there will be a new face, so to speak. It's a man that wears a mask, and he goes under the name Superbat, and he will be making an appearance here in the CNWA in weeks to come. And that's all I know about him. He's a masked wrestler, and he will be here.
Well, I certainly don't know, but I tell you, I do know one guy that's on his way. 7'4", I think. He weighs 450 pounds, and then plus, I'll tell you what, his hands are bigger than Andre the Giant's. His legs are bigger than Andre the Giant.
He's taller than Andre the Giant.
And let me tell you something. He was in town here about 6 months ago, and the Calgary papers were so enthused with the size of this guy, they did a front page on him. And I'm going to tell you, I sat in the dressing room and talked to him one night, and I'll tell you what, he scared me.
Well, you know, Frank, you'd know a little bit more than I would about this. You're working with promoter Fred May here in the CNWA, and supposedly this big man has been booked, and he will be here in the next couple of weeks. If they call Andre the Giant the seventh wonder of the world, what are you going to call this man? He's bigger, he's better, he's stronger, he's more agile than Andre the Giant. He calls himself the Canadian Giant. And I'll tell you, he was raised right here in this country, and I don't know what his parents fed him, but he's the biggest man in professional wrestling.
Well, he certainly is. At 7 foot plus, he could stand you and Bob together, and you wouldn't touch him. And not only that, I understand he can stand on the ringside, step right over the top, and never have to touch it. And you better be scared of him. You could match up with him. In fact, you better get yourself a partner.
Listen, Frank, let me ask you one question, just secretly. Nobody knows this. Just me and you. You and Fred May, did you guys finally open up your wallets?
Well, we had to open them up, and not only that, we shrunk them because we're going to bring in the midgets.
All right.
So we've got
word on the midgets as well then. Frank Sisson has all the info for you. Yeah, that's right. I'd have to say that too, Bob. Speaking of midgets, you might have a chance of beating somebody in this division, and you're going for that big heavyweight crown and everything like that.
I don't know what you're really talking about, because people listening to you right now would think that you're actually a goof, Joe, because I'm 6'1" and weigh 252 pounds. Now, do I look like a midget, idiot?
All right. Thank you very much, Bob. Next time, just say it. Don't spray it, please. I'm going to have to start wearing a raincoat here at the ringside, if you don't mind.
Two are fighting and arguing and making up and all that. Look at the match we've got going up here. This new young fella here is coming along real good. Now tell the fans at home, Bob, what you would suggest that the young fella has to work on to improve his game.
Well, certainly he has to go to the gym. That's number one. And number two, he has to come in and do the right things. He's a little short on a few things. He does his arm drags a little slow. His drop kicks are a little slow. He gets those two things. I'll tell you what, if he gets these two things done right, but I can tell you how he can improve himself, Frank. Go to the Bob Brown's Wrestling School. He'll learn real quick.
Well, I know, but we're trying to make some heroes here as well as the, you know, the other kind of people. But I agree with you. They need to work at some of it, but it's nice to see that we've got this kind of opportunity for the young people.
No question about it, Frank. You said a very good point. And certainly Joe's got something to say. But Mr. Singh right now is just taking the match right to him.
Well, I'll agree with you there, Bob. He is. And, hey, what do you mean I always have something to say? I'll agree with you. He could go a yellow card. You heard the ring announcer there to Akam Singh, and he's changed his style dramatically in this match. A little bit more of an aggressive touch. Hey, Bulldog, I've never taken it away from you. You are one of the best wrestlers of all time. And if you think he can show up-and-coming star like Akam Singh a few things, hey, that's fine with me.
Just stick around because the CNWA, I heard through the grapevine, is going to line me up with some big matches. I may even have a shot against the Giant. I'll go out and beat the Giant. I get a shot at Ron Ritchie. I'll go out and beat Ron Ritchie. Listen, I don't want to embarrass you two guys here at the table. I don't want to embarrass Ted Whalen, but believe me, if the CNWA wants to match me up with these guys, hey, listen, I'll take their money.
All right, Akam Singh on top of things right now. The only one in the ring. He's not giving Kevin Brosny much of a chance, though. And Jurgen Herman's already handed out a second yellow card now to Akam Singh. One more and it's all over for Mr. Singh.
Akam Singh, second yellow.
I'll tell you one thing about Akam Singh, though, very scientific wrestler when he's on and turns into the devil when he's with his brother, I'll tell you. One of the most formidable tag teams in professional wrestling, but Kevin Brosny landing that big knee under the chin of Akam Singh, and he might have turned this one around.
Wouldn't you listen to your older brother? Older brothers like listening to fathers.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I think Akam Singh is old enough to decide what he wants to do with his own life, okay, Bulldog? If he was too young, he wouldn't be in the world of professional wrestling now, would he?
Well, he's not too young. Listen, he's going to come along. He's going to come along just fine. But he's going to take his knocks and his bruises, doing what he's doing best.
Oh, big clothesline there by Kevin Brosny, who's regained his marbles in this one, and he's doing a fine job landing those boots right now to Akam Singh.
Certainly been a grueling, brutal match. Both of them have been going at it for 11, 12 minutes. And listen, there's been no stop by either one of them. Certainly there's going to be...
Holy cow. Sorry to cut you off, Bulldog, but you could hear that one. I'll tell you one thing. It used to be like J.T. Hay. They used to play for the Calgary Stampeders. He almost put Kevin Brosny through the posts.
Well, that's what Singh is doing right now. He gave him a kick. The guy went for a backdrop. Mr. Singh gave him a kick, and now Mr. Singh is opening up the offense. I tell you what, I think this match is all but over.
Well, he's picking him up right now, setting him up for something after landing that big knee across the chest, if you will, or throat. Nice side Soto toss there by Akam Singh. 1-2. Only... Did he pick him up, Bulldog?
Would you believe that?
Well, I do the same thing. You know, the guy's been a little cocky for 12, 13 minutes, and now Singh says, hey, you want to be cocky? No, I got something else for you. I'm going to do a lot more damage to you, and that's what he's doing right now. What do you think he's setting him up for, Joe?
Well, I think that big flying savant kick is on its way if it's going to become a Singh trademark. But Akam Singh must have a point to prove here or something, but off the top rope. 1-2. And he's doing it again now. I don't know if he's got...
This is
How
funny.
can you believe this? He likes this, and he's trying to tell me that he can teach the people to be nice, gentlemanly wrestlers.
Well, there's that kick we were talking about, almost knocking the head off of Kevin Brosny, and he's going to be out for a long time in this one.
You know, Mr. Singh set him up on 2 or 3 different occasions. I knew it wasn't the time. I knew he was waiting for the big, devastating kick. Hey, all I can tell you is it was a great match, won by a great individual, a wild-groomed athlete. Let's go to ringside.
You know, Akam, I've known you for a long time now through the CNWA here and through Winnipeg and the WFWA. Akam, you used to be a nice guy, and then you started hanging around with your older brother again. I mean, I think you're old enough to make up your own decisions. Why the different style?
What do you mean I changed my style? What is this? You just mind your own business. Do you realize that blood is thicker than wine. In our culture, blood is thicker than wine. For you people, you don't have a culture, so you obviously don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, there's enough culture building up here at ringside with the Singh brothers. Very talented wrestlers, the brother combination of the Singh family. We'll have to see what happens. We'll be back with more great action right after this. Well, as you already heard earlier on in the program, Bulldog Bob Brown here at ringside with me. And Bulldog, you said you got rid of Ed Whalen a week ago. And, of course, Ed had a response for you. Now you're saying it again. We got rid of Ed Whalen as far as you're concerned, and you're here to stay.
Don't tell me that you got a tape of him speaking obnoxious like he did last week. I took offense to it once and for all. I do not want to hear Ed's voice on television now, next week, the month after. I told you earlier he was gone. And if you come up with another tape, Joe, I just may have to slap you before this night's out.
Well, you asked me not to tell you, so I won't tell you. But, fans, we do have another tape with Ed Whalen.
Hi, everybody. A point of clarification here. I was missing last week. I'm missing this week from the CNWA program, and I want to make it patently clear that the reason simply is because of prior commitments due to my affiliation with the Calgary Flames of the National Hockey League. As a matter of fact, as this program is being taped for the audiences across the nation, I am in Chicago to do the play-by-play as the Blackhawks take on the Calgary Flames. So I've got some action that kind of bumps into what's happening with the CNWA. But rest assured that next week I will be back. I will be enjoying the action at the Silver Dollar Action Center. Know something? I think this is going to become very popular. And you know why? It is such a very decent club atmosphere. You have all the facilities there. You kind of feel at home. I think it's just a terrific atmosphere, and that you're going to enjoy not only the action of the CNWA, but also the Silver Dollar Action Center. So we will look forward to seeing you when we're in action next Wednesday night at the Silver Dollar Action Center.
Well, let's get up to the ring for some more great action.
You know, this match has been underway for 10 minutes now. I'm going to tell you, surprised. I was really surprised when I saw Ron Ritchie. I want everybody to have a look at Ron Ritchie. Ron Ritchie, a tremendous, tremendous athlete. Looks like he lost about 15 pounds. I don't know what he's been doing the last 6 or 7 months, but believe me, this match has been full of explosives, Joe.
Well, you better talk about explosives. You want to talk about the crowd here tonight. They have been jumping all over the backs of the Great Gamma and Duke Myers. Well-conditioned tag team wrestled together many a times, but Frank Sisson here at ringside, you've got to be impressed with this new formed Canadian connection. They're calling themselves Randy Thatcher and none other than Winnipeg's own Ron Ritchie.
Boy, are they ever into the action in here, and they're helping each other out, and I think that's great. I think they learned that trick off of Mr. Bulldog Brown here. But in the meantime, look at the talent that we've got coming up, and a lot of fun coming next Wednesday night here, and we're going to see some good matches, including the Big Giant, and also maybe the midgets, and how about the ladies?
All right, the words of Frank Sisson, and who would know better than him? He's involved with the CNWA promoter, Fred May. I'll tell you something, Ron Ritchie's got this crowd going, trying to show his partner some support. You can barely hear yourself think here at ringside. But the Great Gamma choking right now, Randy Thatcher. You know, I'm kind of impressed with this new team, the Canadian Connection, though. It would be a big upset if they won this match. I mean, this is their first time wrestling together.
Well, you know, when you talk about Randy Thatcher, you're talking about Ron Ritchie. You know, Ron Ritchie is not in the ring for the good of his health one night. He's probably been watching the program for the last 2 or 3 weeks and saw Randy Thatcher and said, hey, he'd make a great tag team partner for him. Lo and behold, here they are tonight in this great, big, beautiful building. And brought to you by CNWA. Hey, the gorgeous girls, the place is full. But let me remind you one thing, ladies and gentlemen. The place is full for one reason. Ed Whalen is not here, and the people don't have to listen to him week after week. I'll be back next week. Ed will be on another assignment, so they say.
Yeah, well, you heard the words of Ed Whalen, Bulldog, and I guess no one could say it better than Ed himself. Well, here we go. Randy Thatcher surprising the Great Gamma and getting a 2 count out of the deal, but not enough to pin the Great Gamma. I'll tell you something, though. Randy Thatcher's got to get over there and make a tag. He's been in there for quite a while.
Isn't it nice, though, to see the crowd get involved, and the wrestlers got to get their adrenaline up. Have you ever had any crowd go with you? Have you ever been a good fella?
I've been a good fella. My mother never raised any fools, you know, Frankie.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, and I hope we see you in that towel match, and hope you do remain good, because Joe and I have got bets that you can't stay clean on that match.
We'll see.
Well, Jürgen Herman, believe it or not, giving the Canadian Connection out of the 2 tag teams in there their 2nd yellow card of the match.
Well, what can you expect? Hey, they're violators. It's being like a violator of the law. Speeding down the highway, you get caught every day. This is what these guys are doing. They're a good team, but they got to get their thing together. And listen, one more yellow card, and what happens? It's all over.
Well, I'll tell you, I knew it was going to happen. I didn't think that Randy Thatcher, the young man from Regina, I'll tell you, he's built like the Rockies. He makes that tag, and in comes Ron Ritchie, and he's going to perform some surgery here on both of these two. Look at this, knocking Gamma right out of the ring, and Duke Myers is going to head for another turnbuckle. Ron Ritchie is caught on fire.
Well, he certainly better not ask the crowd too much. Get with it. He's got Myers at his mercy. Go right after. You see, he's looking at us. Hey, Brown, I'm good, ain't I? That's just what he just said.
Well, we've got all 4 of them in there right now. Jürgen Herman has lost all control of this one. Thatcher on top of Great Gamma. And I think we're going to have a collision on the 409. There you go.
A collision at the junction, Ed Whalen would say.
We've got the Silver Dollar Action Center, and we've got the CNWA action, and the mat just about collapsed.
You talk about a big body drop. That was one of the biggest when Duke Myers hit the ring. Double elbow.
Why aren't the referees moving in and stopping this? Hey, they're a violation of the match again.
Look at this Canadian Connection go to work. Right now they're working on Great Gamma. Rich, I think, is going upstairs here. He's going up the top rope. Whoa, and the Great Gamma moved out of the way, showing some experience there. Now Kerry Brown, where did he come from? Well, he hit the Great Gamma. Ron Ritchie going down for the pin. 1, 2, 3, it's all over. Your son has cost them the match. I don't know if Kerry Brown is crying right now or not, but he should be. He's looking at his old partner, Duke Myers, and believe you me, if justice ever prevailed, this was the time. What an upset victory for a newly formed tag team here, the Canadian Connection. If you want to talk about action, Kerry Brown performed one of the biggest mistakes in all of professional wrestling. Right now, let's go to the Bulldog with the
Yes, you surprised me. I didn't even know you were in town, but it's glad to see you, son. And listen, you made a mistake, but I guarantee you're here for a purpose. And if it's anything like I saw 10, 12 years ago when you guys were partners, hey, hell's gonna break loose in here.
Listen, you remember when you set me up here from Kansas City? You told me to look up Duke Myers and give me his number. We were the most successful Western Canadian tag team that there ever was.
We always have been good.
We were the most successful tag team there
and
ever
we always
was.
will be.
Just a minute, he's talking.
As long as we're together.
I want to know.
Hey, just a minute.
Where were you when I was in that ring? When this guy came
I was
in?
where I was supposed to be, idiot.
Well, if you're not happy with the teamwork that we've been...
Teamwork? What do you mean, teamwork?
Okay, Duke.
You're off here picking your nose somewhere.
We were the most successful team.
Hey,
I'm talking.
You mind your business.
I'm talking.
If you're not happy with the team here, Duke.
Wow, wow, wow. You talking about it.
I was talking. Never mind, we gotta go. I gotta talk to Duke.
Here, we'll be right back after this important matter, especially with Joe.
Well, fans, I don't know what's going on with Bulldog Bob Brown there at ringside, but I'll tell you one thing for certain. this Canadian connection. Ron Ritchie, your first match and victorious tonight already.
Joe, it feels great. What a way to come in. All the people behind us. I'll tell you, it feels great. And I'll tell you, all the hard training, the road work, the films, it all paid off tonight. Randy and I have been working out hard, and I'll tell you, we got our eyes on them tag team belts.
Randy, you couldn't have found a better partner than Ron Ritchie.
Yeah, we're getting together pretty good here tonight, and hopefully in the future we're going to show them some power.
All right, the Canadian connection. They want the CNWA tag team belts. Ron Ritchie, Randy Thatcher, two names you'll be hearing a lot more of right here in the CNWA. You know, no matter where you look, there's been a lot of talk about lady wrestling coming back to professional wrestling. And the promoters here at the CNWA, Casey Houston, welcome back here to Calgary. And believe it or not, I know a lot of people at one time weren't behind you, but you've got a new attitude here in the world of professional wrestling. You've turned over a new leaf.
That's right. It's a new year. I've been training. I have a new attitude. The fans have really been behind me, Joe. And with them behind me now, I'm sure I won't let them down. But like I said, it's new year, new attitude. And I'm ready for any competition.
All right, the words of Casey Houston. She's looking for big, bright, and a future right here in the CNWA. You want to talk about your action? Well, it's all in this one. Today's main event, throw in the towel match. And I'll tell you how this works. Frank Sisson with me here at ringside. Well, Steve DeSalvo has designated Ron Ritchie as the holder of his towel. And there he is on your television sets right now, while the Angel of Death has none other than the man that interfered in the match last week. That picture you see right there of Bulldog Bob Brown. Now, Frank, the way this match works is one of the two men in the ring must either submit or have their designated towel holder throw the towel in the match before the referee will ask for the sound of the bell. Says it's payback time for the Angel of Death. You got to remember, fans, at one time they were best of friends, now bitter enemies. DeSalvo with that clothesline that hits the referee.
Well, we have a problem on our hands because Jurgen is down and DeSalvo is going a little bit wild out there right now, and I guess it is the break-even time.
Well, the referee is right out of this one. Jurgen Herman just had 295 pounds crash in front of him. And now DeSalvo, now Ron Ritchie is talking to DeSalvo. What? Bulldog Bob Brown has done it again, ladies and gentlemen, interfering in this match. He has just hit Ron Ritchie, but DeSalvo has grabbed on to Bulldog Bob Brown and got him by the ears. Frank, and now all the Angel of Death from behind. What else is new? The referee has lost control out of it. I don't even know if